Welcome to the Elevate podcast, brought to you by the Registered Master Builders. Each week we explore the ideas and practices that help us get the best from our businesses, our teams and ourselves. We talk to experts, advocates and business owners in the construction industry to share their knowledge, insights and experiences to help you build a better business and enjoy a better life. Now let the business building begin. Kirsty Hopewell, welcome along to the Elevate Master Builders podcast. Great to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Kirsty, you're the current president of the National Association of Women Construction, which we will refer to in shorthand on the podcast today as NAWIC. Firstly, congratulations on the role. I understand you've been in that role since October last year. So still finding your feet a little bit on the role. How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm starting to get more involved in advocacy, which is exciting. Less in the day-to-day side of things, but it gives me the opportunity to represent women in the industry, which I'm super excited about.
Okay. And let's understand a little bit about your background for our listeners, Kirsty. You've also had a significant career path in construction. Can you take us on a little bit of the journey of how you ended up in that role?
Absolutely. Like a lot of people, I didn't start out with a clear plan to work in construction. But once I found my way into the industry, it absolutely just stuck. I'm a quantity surveyor and I've spent most of my career working on commercial construction projects. What I really enjoy about my career is problem solving and being part of a team and having something tangible at the end of it. So being able to walk around the city and go, actually, I had a hand in building that, which is really quite fulfilling. I joined NAWIC in 2015. I moved to New Zealand in 2014 to help with the earthquake rebuild from the UK and found NAWIC in 2015. A colleague of mine suggested I join this group of amazing ladies just to get to meet some other women because I was the only girl on site, which is really common. NAWIC has provided support and connection and opportunities to learn from others across the industry. So that's been really good to me. And then over the years, I've become more involved. First on the local committee, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, then media and comms, and then Canterbury chair, and then president-elect, and then president in October. So I've worked my way up, which is really good.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You referred to one of the things you like being in the construction sector is problem solving. Can you share an example of something you've done in your work zone that's been able for you to jump in, grab a problem and get it solved?
There's quite often issues on site where you have to think of different ways of dealing with issues that crop up. It might be things where you've had to price to give the best options to clients.
Sure. And I think that's the nature of construction. Whilst we'd like to think the plans were done, everything's going to be perfect. Of course, there's always changes. And as these construction projects evolve and the client understands exactly what it's going to look like, now they're there, new things crop up. So we're always in a zone of having to adjust things and problem solve. And I think the other thing is there are so many people and organizations involved in a build, right? So there's always going to be that interaction and problem solving across groups. So, Kirsty, when you were introduced by your friend to NAWIC, what was it that you were seeking?
Just meeting some other women in the industry. I was, or as you quite often are, when you're sent out to site working for a large organization, you are quite siloed. So you'll get your site team. But as an example, I was on a site built in a supermarket and there was the site manager and there was the foreman and myself. And then we'd have the commercial manager visit site and the MD visit site. And they were all guys, so I was the only girl. So it was really good to connect with women in the office that put me on to NAWIC, Alison, and being able to go and visit other sites. I'm really nosy. It's really good to go and see behind the hoarding. And one of the things that NAWIC does well is site visits.
Right.
So being able to look around things like the cathedral or a museum or just the local construction site down the road.
Sure. Okay. And can you explain to us what's the wider purpose of NAWIC in the construction sector?
NAWIC stands for the National Association of Women in Construction, and our wider purpose, I guess, is really about supporting and advancing women across the construction industry, which includes women in trades, professional roles, PMs, QSs, architects, leadership, and everything in between. So a big part of what we do is creating opportunities for connection. Construction can be a very relationship-driven industry. especially so in Christchurch. And so networking and building those connections is incredibly important. So we focus also on professional development, mentoring where possible, and just visibility. Things like podcasts here today is really good. Through events, programs, and advocacy, we try and make sure women have access to the support and opportunities they need to progress through in careers. And NAWIC also works with the wider industry. Improving diversity and inclusion in construction benefits the whole sector, not just women. So it's good to have guys in NAWIC as well. We have quite a few male members. So having those male allies is really important to us.
Great. And how many members are you supporting currently?
I think it has crept up to 1,600 at the moment.
Great.
We're trying to get to 2,000 by the end of my tenure.
Okay. Bold goal, because I understand now it's 30 years old. So imagine it started with probably just a few members. So to have grown to 1,600 and then no doubt 2,000 in the next, 2 years you have to achieve that goal, or 18 months left?
Yes, I guess 18 months. We can push it out to 2 years.
Nice. And awareness you mentioned is such an important thing. And I really like the phrase that you can't be what you can't see. So for females that are thinking about entering the construction trades, having visibility of role models and other people that have walked the path before you is so powerful. I understand that NAWIC's actually got a particular campaign around that to help increase that visibility called 30 Stories for 30 Years. Can you tell us a bit more about that campaign?
Absolutely. So this year's 30 years of NAWIC, started in 1996 in New Zealand. It was originally formed in Texas, I believe, and then it's been brought first to Australia and then to New Zealand, which is really exciting. So this is a really significant milestone for the organisation. To celebrate that, we launched 30 Stories for 30 Years campaign. The idea was to highlight the experiences of women and allies across the industry and share their journeys in their own words. We wanted to show the breadth of careers in construction. So the stories include apprentices, tradespeople, project managers, engineers, quality surveyors, company leaders, everybody. Everybody's invited. What's powerful about the campaign is that it puts real faces and real experiences to the conversation around diversity in construction. It shows that there isn't just one single pathway and that there are many ways to build a successful career.
And I'm sure you've been inspired. I'm sure you've felt emotion. You've felt proud in some of these stories that you've come across. Is there one or two you could share with us that have really stood out for you?
That is so difficult. There are currently 10 on our website. There's just too many. They're all amazing people. One of the things that stood out for me wasn't necessarily just one story, but the diversity of experiences across the campaign. Some women have come through apprenticeships and trade pathways. Others have entered through university or later career changes. Yet, despite those different paths, there are really some common threads in the stories. A lot of people talk about the importance of someone believing in them early in their career. Often it was a manager, mentor, or colleague who encouraged them to take an opportunity to step into a role they might not have considered themselves capable of. Those moments can have a huge impact on somebody and their career trajectory. And it really highlights why mentorship and support is so important in the industry. I really encourage everyone to go and have a look at our website and read the stories.
Yeah, I was looking myself in preparation for our podcast today, and Hera's story really stood out to me. And just her involvement, she's a plumber, gas fitter, drain layer, roofing apprentice, now also making a huge contribution in your NAWIC community. She's on the board, she's mentoring people. I was like, wow, the gravity of what she's bringing not only to herself and her own whānau, but the wider community group as well. It was great. So yeah, I would also second your call to jump on the NAWIC website and have a look at some of those stories. And of course, we'll put a link to those in the show notes so people have easy access to those.
Thank you. Yeah, Hera is just amazing. She's such a great member of our board as well, and such a great advocate for NAWIC.
Yeah. So March is Women's Month. So great timing for the campaign you're bringing to market right now. Why is it still so important to actively highlight women in the construction-related industries?
Well, while we've definitely seen some progress over the last 30 years, women are still significantly underrepresented across many parts of the construction industry. Visibility plays a huge role in changing that. What people can see others like them succeeding in the industry, it helps them imagine themselves in these roles. Like you said, if you can see it, you can be it. Highlighting women's achievements also helps challenge outdated perceptions about what construction careers look like today. And ultimately, it's about making sure the industry is attracting talent from the widest possible pool of people, women to men, 50%, 50-50, right? But in construction, it's such a small number. And construction needs skilled people and diverse perspectives to solve the challenges we face in the future.
And what do you think some of those challenges are that are facing the industry that, diversity of thinking, and of course, gender is important, but it's often the diversity of thinking, etc., that's really, really powerful. What are some of the things you're observing of the future of the industry that needs some help?
Well, it's just a different way of thinking about things. Like you said, diversity of thought. It's good to have just a different perspective, different way of doing things. I might think of a different way of doing things on site than the site foreman. And it's just, having a different view, a different lookout. It'll be good.
Indeed. Sure.
What we're in.
Yeah. Look, couldn't agree more. I think the ability to think about solving problems in different ways, being creative, ability to build culture in organizations in different ways is really powerful as well. If you had a young woman, let's say she's at school, not quite sure what her career path is looking like, and she was listening to this, what would you say to her?
I would encourage her to explore opportunities in construction. It's such a diverse industry. There's such a huge range of career paths. I landed in quantity surveying after doing a cadetship with a large organisation in the UK, and I was able to visit all the different, explore all the different roles. So I understood how construction sort of fitted together, accounts, project management, health and safety. And that gave me a really holistic view. I also spent a couple of weeks, I think it was an old RAF base called Bircham Newton, where they do trade training. So you get to learn how to, as much as you can do drainage and bricklaying and plastering. But you just get a greater appreciation of the industry and what you might enjoy going forward. At the end of the project, it's really good to look back on the building and just know you've played a part in delivering it, whether it's a road, a bridge, a railway tunnel, or the supermarket, a school. There's just such a diverse range of projects as well. My advice would be to stay curious, ask questions, and seek out people who are willing to share their knowledge and experience. A lot of people in the industry are very willing to help and show interest and initiative to bring people in.
And can NAWIC be a front door to that exploration? So do you have to already be in the construction sector to access resources at NAWIC, or can NAWIC help before you're even involved in the sector?
If you signed up to NAWIC, you would have access to our members, to our events, to be able to network and attend site visits. You don't have to be in construction to sign up. So again, yes, it would be a really good place to start.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity that NAWIC presents for someone who's maybe interested in the industry to join as a member, come along, be exposed to other people. I think it's a challenge across the board when we ask teenagers to make a decision about what their career path is, and at that stage you have such a tiny perspective on the world and what is actually possible. So I think the opportunity to come to some NAWIC events, and I'm sure you're exceptionally welcoming, and the ability to just come along and have a chat with some people that are all in different aspects of construction, like you said, right from leadership to frontline trades to expertise and various elements of professional services that are done in construction. Great way to just get in and get exposure to what's possible and explore what some of the paths would be. So yeah, would encourage any listeners or any parents that are listening to this that maybe have teenage daughters coming through school and haven't found their thing yet. This could be a way for them to explore something that they're not aware of.
Absolutely. When I was at school, I wanted to be a nurse. So far away from that now. Indeed.
And you're celebrating the 30-year anniversary of NAWIC, which is a great achievement. What's NAWIC going to look like in another 30 years' time?
Okay, so looking ahead, I think NAWIC will continue to play an important role in supporting women in the industry and helping drive positive change. We want to continue expanding mentoring and professional development, continue our networking opportunities so that women in every stage of their career have access to support. Mentoring scheme is something that I'm quite passionate about. And I know Stacey, who is one of our founders, she's been a mentor to me, and I'm sure she'll help me get this off the ground as well. I also think that the focus will increasingly be on collaboration across the wider industry. Improving diversity and inclusion in construction is something that requires everyone's involvement. And there's a lot of different associations that we work with as well, like the QSs and the Institute of Building, that all have the same issues. So it's cross collaboration across the associations is really important. And I can see that improving going forwards. If we look back in another 30 years, I'd love to see an industry where gender representation is no longer something we need to actively talk about because it's simply become the norm. We shouldn't need to have NAWIC in 30 years, but we'll see what happens.
Indeed. I imagine even with great representation, there'll still be an opportunity for NAWIC to be contributing in a different way, in a different form. But that would be a good place to get to. Kirsty, look, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today and giving us some insight and exposing NAWIC. As we talked about, would really encourage people to jump on your website, go and look at some of those stories that are there. They are inspiring, and it just opens your eyes to what's possible for women in construction in New Zealand. So it's a great place to be. Any final closing comments or suggestions you would like to give to the audience?
And just hopefully that the stories on our website inspire the next generation to see construction as an industry where they can thrive. That would be awesome. And we'll see what happens next.
Great. Hey, thanks, Kirsty. Really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.